guys. Welcome to another episode of the Design Your Success podcast. In this episode, I would love to dive into the design of an entrepreneur who has been in business for almost 15 years, and describe the struggles that she had when she started her business. And before she knew about her human design, obviously. Now, that entrepreneur is me. The idea is that I would love to do this much more. So, to dive into people's designs and explain their struggles based on their human design and what to do to solve it. So, first of all, I want to go first because, if you show me yours, I will show you mine, but I have to start with showing you mine. So, to start, I am a 1-3 emotional generator. Now, what does that mean? So, first of all, as a generator, my energy is my trademark. My energy is basically what makes me attractive for people. People want to be around me for my energy. They always told me my entire life, people have told me, I love your energy. Oh, I love your energy. I never knew why. I only knew that this was the case. I am an optimistic person. I always see possibilities. But I never really understood why people loved my energy. Now I know as a generator, and when you're listening and you are a generator, the most important thing for a generator is that you do what lights you up because you have the sustainable source of energy. You have this continuous energy to make things happen, to get things done. But you need to do things that really light you up. As soon as you get into stuff that you don't like, your energy can drain and you can get into a burnout situation. And I really don't want that for you. So, first of all, what I understood when I started to know about my human design, that I'm a generator. So that's why my energy is my trademark. So I need to do everything to keep my energy high, to keep my energy going. So doing stuff that doesn't feel right, doing stuff that doesn't make me feel enthusiastic, that doesn't make me feel like, hell yes, this is what I want, is not the right way for me, even though everyone around me can say, like, oh, this is the best thing to do. This is, you should do this, because when it becomes strategic, or when it's like, a logical step, or it's, those kind of things, decisions made with the head, that's not the way forward for me. What I need to follow as a generator is my enthusiasm, my love for whatever it is that I do. Now, what I absolutely love doing, working with my clients, showing them the angles of their design and turning that into practical steps. That's what I love doing. And there are, the best moments are when people see the light, the penny drops, and they're like, oh my God, now I get it. Those are the moments that I live for. I absolutely love that. So, working with my clients is something that I love doing. So, I talk about that, I share that, and that enthusiasm is magnetic. To give you another example, I love being in Spain. Spain is my happy place because of the weather, because of the sun, because of the great vibe. Yeah, the place makes me feel great. So all I do, and all between air quotes, what I do when I'm there is share pictures, share my stories, share my experiences. That also has another reason regarding my design, but I'll get to that in a minute. But I share the stories. I'm just enthusiastic about it. I'm like, oh my God, look at this view. Oh, look at this place. Look at the beach. Look at the sea. Like, look at, anything that I encounter. And that's magnetic. And that's why it happens that when people see it, they are like, oh my God, when is the next time? When are you going? I want to be with you. I want to go with you. I want to be there as well. So that's the magnetism that I'm talking about. So share your enthusiasm. As a generator, share your enthusiasm and follow that enthusiasm. So that's one. Second is I'm a generator, so I need to wait to respond. And waiting to respond is the hard bit for many people because they think that waiting equals doing nothing, but it's not. It doesn't equal doing nothing. Waiting to respond is one entire concept. Waiting to respond means actively looking out for the cues that you get, the questions that people ask you, the trends that you see in the market, commercials that you see on TV, videos that you get, books that you read. Those are all things to respond to. To give you an example, and people who have followed me know this story. Years and years ago, when I didn't know about my human design, I was part of a mastermind, and this coach who hosted the mastermind was a queen in launching online programs. So, and we all have the idea like, oh, I should have, a passive income, I should have an online course. So, including me at the time. So I was like, okay, I need an online course. I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow the steps. I'm going to do everything that needs to be done. So I did it all. I ran a 3-day challenge. I created a program. I ran a masterclass. I sent, I don't know how many emails to my list. I sent a post or I created posts. I did cart open. I had fast action bonuses, disappearing bonuses. Yeah, I did the whole bloody shebang. I did it all. And you know the result of all of this work, because it took me months, it took me weeks. I was really exhausted by the end. You know what happened? No one bought the program. And why was that? Because I initiated the program. I put stuff in the program that I was like, oh, this is what I think people need. But what I didn't do, I didn't look out for cues to respond to. Because if I had done that, I would have known that this program is definitely not what people were looking for. They were looking to be inspired, so they wanted short bits of information. They wanted workshops, they wanted masterclasses, and of course they could be paid, but they didn't want like a 6-month program. So, and that's the mistake I made. And of course, there's never mistakes. There's only lessons that has to do with something else in my design. I'll get to that in a minute. But the thing is, I didn't respond. So I should have responded. Now I know. So when I get a cue, I look for validation of the cue. So when I get inspired, like, oh, this is what I want to do. And to give you another example, last year, I found a workbook to wrap up the past year. So it's a great tool at the end of the year to wrap up the past year and to plan and map out the next year. So I found the workbook. I hadn't seen it in a while. We all have those stuff. We create stuff and we forget about it. I'm not different in that sense. So I found the workbook and I thought like, oh, this is great. I love the workbook. Oh, it's so good. Um, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to create a workshop around it. I'm going to sell it and da da da. All these ideas kept coming. But then I was like, wait a minute. Is this in response? So what I did, I checked with my audience. So I sent out a newsletter. I posted it on my socials. Like, guys, this is what I found. Would you like a workshop around this? Would you like to have a masterclass? Would you like to have the workbook? I checked with my audience, like, do you want this? The response, zero. Not many people. Oh, I mean, one or two. One or two said, oh, yeah, nice. But the great thing is, instead of me creating a whole program and creating a workshop and creating a whole thing around it, I didn't have to do it. So I was like, okay, that's great. I don't have to run a workshop or sell anything because my audience doesn't need it. Instead, what I did, I used it with existing clients and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. So the cue that I got was, wait a minute, you have this great workbook, but the way to deal with it is first to look out for more validation of the cues and then decide, okay, what am I going to do? So that is waiting to respond. Um, Another element in my design, so I told you I'm a 1-3, and I'm going to share my screen. And for those of you just listening, um, I'm going to show my body graph chart here. And what you can see is the 1 and the 3 that's on the very top end of your body graph chart. You will see two columns on the right and on the left with numbers and symbols, and you see a circle with a dot in it. This is your sun sign. On the right, that is your conscious sun. On the left, that is your unconscious sun. So, and what's important for the profile lines that we're discussing is the 1 and the 3, in my case, that it has a number, a dot, and then a 1 or a 2, a 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 profile lines. In my case, it's 37.1. On the left-hand side, for me, it's 9.3. Now, what's important is the 1 and the 3. The 1 is the investigator. So I am an investigator. I love knowledge. I love learning. I love growing, developing. I'm a knowledge junkie. I love reading books. I love following courses, anything that helps me to understand stuff, to figure things out. How does it work? How does it work in action? Why do things happen the way they happen? I love figuring things out. I always joke about me being Sherlock Holmes because I love investigating stuff. And that's exactly the name for the human design profile line 1, the investigator. Really diving deep into stuff. That's a great, I would say, character trait. To be curious, to always love learning, to always be in for more knowledge. And it's good to know that in my case, and I know many people with the profile line 1, it's a solid foundation for you. So it's a safe place to share your knowledge from. Because the more knowledge you have, the more secure you feel, the more confident you feel, like, oh, I know enough, I can share this. However, the shadow energy, like the dark energy of the profile line 1, can be, I don't know enough. I don't know enough because there is so much more knowledge. And I don't know who said this, but famous guy said it. I think the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. And that's the thing with the profile line 1, because you're always studying, you're always going for new and more knowledge. But then you realize, like, oh my God, I don't know shit. I don't know nothing. And that's, of course, not a bad thing because even with all the knowledge that I have, I already know so much more than anyone else because I'm studying all the time and I'm learning all the time. That is my nature. It's in my nature to learn, to grow. I really hope until the day I die, I will keep learning. Then the profile line 3 is the martyr in human design. So it has a bit of a weird title because I don't feel like a martyr. However, what the martyr does, the profile line 3, is all about experimenting, testing, trying, and failing, between air quotes, getting back up again, finding ways that don't work. So in that sense, people with the profile line 3, this is the way you go through life. testing, trying, experimenting, finding ways that don't work, and then you move on. To be honest, I found this bloody hard to accept that I had this profile line 3 because it takes me time to find stuff that works. And in order to get there, I need to make the mistakes between air quotes and find out what doesn't work. And for a very long time, I always saw that as failure. You know, I have, and people who follow me know this story as well. I use it all the time. I have 64 landing pages of stuff that didn't work. Um, but the thing is, these are all ways to get to what does work. And that is the way you move through life when you have a profile line 3. I didn't know this about myself, and I always blamed myself when things didn't work. Now I know that this is the way I go through life. So whenever something doesn't work, I'm like, okay, it doesn't work. I found a way that doesn't work, and we're going to continue. So instead of dwelling on it and feeling like, oh, I made a mistake, oh, I didn't do it right, why am I such a failure? It's I like, okay, I just found a way that doesn't work. And now I can continue. This has been such a game changer for me because with this profile line 3, I always thought, like, perhaps I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Perhaps I'm not the right material to be successful. I really doubted myself. But when you have the 3 in your profile and you're listening, this is the way you move through life. And then it's not a failure, it is a lesson. It's not a mistake, it's a lesson. And it's just, a little mark like, okay, that didn't work. Check. And we continue. So this has been a huge game changer for me. Now, another thing that has really made a difference in my design is knowing that I have emotional authority. Emotional authority means that on the right-hand side, you see the big triangle, the right-hand side of your body graph. You see a triangle, and when it's colored, it means you have emotional authority. And having emotional authority basically means that the way you take decisions is through your emotions. And when you have emotional authority, what you need is time. So no decision making on the spot, no being tempted like, oh, but when you decide now, this is going to be great. No, we emotional authority owners, we need time. And what happens with the emotional authority is that we have this emotional wave and it goes up and down and up and down because the one day you feel, for instance, for a new project or a new service that you're creating in your business, you feel like, oh, I'm excited, I want to do this. And then the next day you're like, I don't know. No, perhaps people don't want it. And then the next day you're like, yeah, but still, I think I want it. So that's, the emotional wave going up and down. And at the end of it, when you sit it out, you wait 2 or 3 days and you will have clarity. When you are still thinking about that particular project or service that you want to work on and it excites you and you feel like, yes, I want to do this, then decide I'm going to go for it. But if you feel like, I don't know, or if the enthusiasm isn't there, don't do it. This has been a massive game changer for me because I was always sensitive to decide on the spot because I saw so many people deciding on the spot and they seem to be doing so well on it. But now I know I need time. So my favorite phrase is, can I get back to you on that? Let me sleep on it. I'll get back to you. And that is the best phrase, and it really improved my decision-making process. So that is about my emotional authority. What else can I tell you? Oh, there are so many things that I can tell you about my design. Um, Another thing that was a real game changer for me is knowing that I have 5 open centers. And when you look at your body graph, you see 9 squares and triangles. And for me, the top 4 are all open or undefined. And my splenic center, and that is the little triangle on the left of the body graph. So those ones are all open. And I didn't know this. I didn't know this. All I knew was I'm sensitive. I can pick up vibes in the air. When I step into a room, I instantly sense like what's going on here. And the great thing about having this talent was that I could adjust, and that has everything to do with my open G center, and that's the tilted square on your body graph. I have an open G, which means I can be a chameleon. So in room A, I can be this person. In room B, I can be that person. So, and it can be very different. So I can adjust to any environment. And that's a great talent to have. However, when you're around those other and different groups all the time, at some point you're like, yeah, but who am I actually? So I needed time alone to get back to and reconnect to who I am. And there's nothing wrong with having an open G because I see it as a huge talent because I can adjust. I'm agile. I can adjust to any environment. I can talk to farmers and queens and everything in between. Um, and that's a great talent. Has also to do with my open throat. So the throat center, which is the third center from the top, it's a square in on your body graph. For me, that's open too, which also means that I can adjust my communication to whoever I'm talking to. And to give you a fun fact, when I'm around British people, I can be very British. But when I'm around Americans, I can be very American. So, and that's also the thing I know now that has everything to do with my open throat. So my ways of communicating adjust to who I'm around. And that was a great eye opener because when I saw other people being in groups and acting in groups and being around other people, they were like, consistently the same person. Now I know those people have either a defined G center or a defined throat or both. I don't have it. So I am agile. I can adjust and I can play with it. Now I know it and I see it as a talent. And that was a great eye opener, too. Another thing that really helped me was to know that I have an open head center and an open ajna center. And the open head is all about ideas and inspiration. And the open ajna is all about how do you translate ideas into action, basically. How do we do things? And for me, I'm all open. Well, at least my head is entirely open. So I am open to ideas and inspiration from anything and everyone, which basically means that I can see, for instance, to make it practical, I can see content in everything that happens. So when I talk to clients, I'm like a walking idea machine. I'm a generator, so I need to respond. So when people talk to me, like, oh, I don't know what to talk about. And then I ask them questions. So I have something to respond to. They give me answers, and then I can just, pop out. I don't know how many ideas. But also, like, okay, this is how you can translate these ideas into action. So when I follow my design, I follow my, first of all, I know I'm a generator. So my enthusiasm, my energy is magnetic. Second, I follow my strategy, which is I need to wait to respond. And then I can just, follow my talents. And one of my talents is to have an open head and an open ashna. So I'm literally open-minded, which brings me to the next element of that combination, the open head and open ashna. If you have that, you have the ability to bring innovation, to bring new ideas and new concepts. You have the ability to bring ideas and inspiration and get a totally different light on it, and then apply it. So that is the great thing about the open head and open ajna. The splenic center, which is the little triangle on the left of the body graph, in my case, it's open. What I didn't know about me, and that was a huge revelation like 3 years ago, 4 years, no, 4 years ago already, um, is that I'm highly intuitive, and to the extent that I just know things. And I don't know why or how I know things, but I just do. And when I found out about my intuitive gifts, I started to try and test them. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh my goodness, I just know things. And it's so much fun because when I talk to people, and I always had this talent, but I never trusted it. I never trusted it. So when people were talking to me, I just, I always knew like, you are BSing me. Or, no, that's not, you're saying this, but actually you mean that. I always knew that. But I was like, no, I couldn't trust it. It's no. How do I know? How can I prove that? But now I know. I'm right. I know things. I just know it. I'm clair cognizant, as they call it. So I just know things, which is great. And for some people, it's scary because they are like, how do you know this? Just like, I know. I know. I'm highly intuitive. I know. And that's another great thing that I discovered when really diving deep into my design. So having these gifts made me and still make me the person that I am today, make me the professional that I am today. And there are many other elements in my design that I could discuss, but for this episode, I would love to share these elements. So when you're a generator, really consider these things. Your energy is your trademark. So do everything you can to keep the energy high. If you have trouble with that, let me know and go to my website because there is a free course based on my book, Aligned Energy, and it will help you to really get in alignment with your energy again. Second is to really follow your strategy. Your strategy as a generator is to wait to respond. And if you have any questions about that, book a free call with me. I'll share the link in the show notes. Book the call. And I really look forward to talking to you about it. And then third, follow your authority. Follow your decision-making tool. Like, how are you wired? Do you have emotional authority as a generator? Sit out the entire wave of emotions. If you have sacral authority, ask yourself yes and no questions to really get to clarity. All right, that's it for now. If you want me to decipher and decode your design, let me know. I'm happy to do it. If you like this podcast, make sure to subscribe and to rate the podcast, to give me stars, give me comments. When you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to comment and connect with me, follow me on other social platforms. And I look forward to sharing the next episode with you. Have a lovely day.